Thanksgiving is over, so that's one hurdle that's passed. But now we've got this whole holiday season ahead of us. And dealing with this holiday season is a huge issue. The first thing I want you to hear is a conversation I had today with a woman who's been off the program traveling for a month and was concerned about the fact that she would put on weight. I put her on the special vacation protocol. I saw her today. She came in to the office and she had put on in 1 month a total of 2 pounds. She was ecstatic. And I said to her, "What did you think?" And she said, "I miss my bread. And she talked about all the things that she was missing. And I said to her, "Can I ask you a question? How did you feel overall about your vacation?" She said, "I followed what you had instructed me. I had a wonderful vacation." And I said, "That's terrific, except for one thing. All I hear you doing today is complaining about what you missed. And I didn't hear you say you missed it while you were on vacation. You've missed it now that you're back." So let's first start out by accepting one simple issue. Food is not a problem except for the fact that you have chosen to lose weight. If losing weight were not a problem, then food would not be a problem. So food is neither good nor bad. Like everything else, food is dependent upon what it is that you want. Now, number 2, and this is very, very interesting. A woman was in today and said to me that there were all kinds of problems and issues in her life, and she could not stay focused on the program. And I said to her, "Help me understand what it is you mean, because I just weighed you and you are 1 pound lighter than what you were last week. Now, if you could not, is there a difference between your thinking, which says you could not, and your behavior based upon the scale? Your behavior says, I was on the program. Well, I was not on the program the way I should have been on the program." All of us can complain as much as we like. Complaints never change anything. They are emotional responses to what's going on inside you. Now, in order to get through what we're calling today guilt, I want to start off by pointing out something to you. All of you live somewhere. And in the facility in which you live, there is a thermostat. And let's, for sake of discussion, say you set the thermostat at 72 degrees. Now, what does the thermostat do? You set the thermostat at 72. That's what it is that you want. So the thermostat is set at a number that you want to achieve, and it's the job of the thermostat to try to meet your needs. Now, what does the thermostat do? The thermostat looks out into the real world, the facility in which you live, and checks the temperature in the real world. And let's say the temperature has gone to 65 degrees. The thermostat wants it to be at 72. The real world is 69. And what does the thermostat do? It turns on the heater to meet your want. So the difference between what you want and what really is what it's all about. The reverse is true as well. I keep the thermostat at 72. It's summer. The temperature outside affecting the room that I'm in takes the temperature up to 78. The thermostat wants 72. It turns on the air conditioning to affect the external world. And that's what it's all about. What you want versus what is. You're complaining that it's hot. You're complaining that it's cold is just a complaint. It has no impact on the thing in itself. So let's start out by being honest with ourselves. Why are you focusing on this Facebook right now? What is it that you want? Now, I am saying something that I believe to be true. You are on Facebook because you're not happy with your present weight. And you would like to change that present weight to something that would make you feel better. So number one, stop. Do you really want to lose weight? And let me ask you a question in regard to you want to lose weight. Do you recognize that in order to lose weight, you are going to be required to change your behavior? Nothing in the outside world or on the inside world, this picture that you have of yourself, is going to be affected by anything other than are you committed to the you who is right now looking at me. Now, there's another part of that we've talked about before. Do you have the ability to say that the you that you are is being taken care of by you appropriately? Don't tell me what you want. Don't tell me what you don't want. The question is, are you going to make yourself important enough to recognize that you have to make changes? Because if you continue with your behavior, nothing is going to change in the direction that you want it to change. Now, this is very, very simple. We've been talking about self-love. Self-love says, I respect myself, I like myself, and I'm happy with the woman whom I get up with or the man I get up with in the morning. When I first met Dr. Chu, I was almost 300 pounds. I did not like the me that I was. Dr. Chu didn't argue with me. He didn't fight with me. What he simply said to me was, I have work for you. It's at UMDNJ, and you're going to come and assist me, and you're going to learn things, because sitting here in this Chinese restaurant and just putting in 3 hours, it's better for you and it's better for me if you come and join me. He was doing an experiment on this gland that we talk about, the hypothalamus. And he accepted the fact that I was not treating myself in a manner that said, I like the me that I am. I like getting up in the morning with myself, because if I get up in the morning, I'm the only person that I'm going to get up with 365 days a year. And if I don't like the me that I am, I'm getting up with a person whom I don't like getting up with. Now, Thanksgiving is over. It's done. Whatever happened, happened. Here is where you are now. And we're now moving towards, let's call it holiday season, New Year's, Christmas, all kinds of festivities, and everything has at its center some kind of food issue. Now, if you're going to be honest, then what you're going to say is, there are going to be hurdles out there for me. There are going to be temptations. There are going to be situations and circumstances that I have to deal with. People want to meet with me. People want to go out. People want to have a drink. People want this. People want that. And you are going to be confronted with that. If you are prepared to care enough, to respect yourself enough, then we are not going to have a problem. Let's go back to the woman I was just talking about. She had been on what I call vacation protocol for 1 month. Simplistically, I put her on a 1 meal a day lifestyle, starting at 12 noon and going till 8:30 at night. So there would be no food before 8 o'clock in the morning, and there would be no food after 8:30 at night. I also said to her that she was to choose each day, or in advance if she do, whether that day she was going to have lunch or that day she was going to have dinner. And she said, that's perfect, because based upon schedule, there are certain things I want to do. Most days it will be lunch, but some days it's going to be dinner. And we set out a protocol. She would have the 1 meal, whether it be early in the day, lunchtime, late in the day, in the evening, and she would always finish 2 hours before she went to bed. Those were the rules. Now, those rules are very simple, but they're based upon what you want. If she really, really wanted the food, then don't talk to me about the fact that it's vacation. Just do whatever you're going to do. Well, I'm not going to do whatever I want to do because I'm going to put on a lot of weight. I didn't ask you that. I asked you, what do you want for you? Her answer came back very simplistically. I don't want to gain weight. Now, neither you nor I can misunderstand, I do not want to gain weight. Now you're on vacation. If you treat vacation without thinking, can you honestly believe that you will not gain weight? Because when you're on vacation, the only rules are your rules. What does vacation mean? I'm taking off. I'm getting rid of the normal stresses of life, and I'm going to, I don't know about you, I'm going to indulge. At the same time, she did not wish to look forward to vacation and not enjoy herself. That's what vacation is all about. You have to be in the center. It's your vacation. It's your life. Now, weight loss works, or you would not be watching me on Facebook. Weight loss has worked for 25 years. We have enough years in to know that if you work the program the way it's prescribed, you will lose weight. We also know that you have to change your behavior. How did you get to be overweight to begin with? And not also how you got overweight to begin with. You got to be overweight because of your behavior. So you are responsible for being where you are, and you have to become important enough to yourself to recognize that there's only one answer. If you continue to do what you have been doing, you're not going to achieve your goal. So if you don't want to achieve your goal, stop listening to me. Thanksgiving is over. It's done with. Go do whatever you want to do. Forget about the fact that there are hurdles out there. There's festivities, there's activities, there's fun, there's temptation. There's all that kind of stuff out there. What the heck are we talking about? Why are you sitting there listening to me? Because it's a head game. Now, I know you understand that in a previous life, I was a licensed psychologist. People would have problems. People would come to me. I would help guide them, deal, and get insight into what it is that was going on. We don't have the time to sit with me, to analyze, to go through all of this kind of stuff. But, and remember, the word but negates everything that goes before it. But you don't want to change. And the reason you don't want to change is because you're comfortable with your behavior. Now remember, the woman came back from a month on vacation protocol, and the first thing she did to me was not say, I'm so excited that in a month I've only gained 2 pounds. Her first response was, I miss the bread, she was telling me all the things that she was complaining about. And here is what I want you to hear. Complaining serves no purpose whatsoever. It gets you nothing. It changes nothing. And the truth is that no one really cares whether you complain or not, because by complaining, you've given up making yourself someone that you like being with. Now, Thanksgiving is over. What is, is. The first step then is to recognize that we are going back on the program. Dairy days, fruit vegetable days. We're going to be massaging our beads, and we are going to stick with the rules. And now here's another word. Rules. You're not being forced to do anything. You've chosen to be there because whatever your reason is, you want to lose weight. It's totally valid. Unless you can come up with a problem for me, your wanting to lose weight is what you want. You can legitimately want it, but you have to accept the fact that you have to change in order to achieve what you want. You also have to understand that the outside world doesn't really care. because it does not impact on them. I've shared with you something else. You have an opinion, and I have an opinion. Neither of us have the same opinion. You believe that your opinion is correct. I believe that my opinion is correct. Notice that there appears to be a gulf between the two of us. So when you and I talk and that opinion area arises, your job is to convince me that I'm wrong. And my job is to convince you that you're wrong. So no matter what you say, I need to understand that you're saying what you're saying because I'm wrong and you're right. Now, in this particular discussion, right this moment, I haven't got the foggiest idea whether you're correct, whether I'm correct, or whether there are pieces of what I have to say and pieces that of you have to say that are correct. I just know that you're wrong. Now understand, the only reason weight causes us a problem is because of the fact that because we want to lose weight, we have made the use of food a problem. If we didn't need to lose weight, food would not be a problem. So recognition number one, part of the problem that we have is we want to lose weight. Problem number two, most of us are comfortable in doing what we've been doing, or we would not have gotten to where we are. And because we're comfortable, we try things that fit into our comfortability because we don't want to change. So now, and this is important, a few moments ago, I said to you that I get up in the morning with me. When I first started this with Dr. Chu, I had no idea at the time that as a psychologist, I was burning out. I had no idea, no insight, no understanding. I was not happy with how I was living, and I was using food to distract and comfort myself, and I was almost 300 pounds. I was not happy with being almost 300 pounds. However, the issue of thinking that I had to change was my biggest problem. So I was finding ways of ignoring the fact that I was no longer happy as a psychologist. But life has a way, if we are honest with ourselves. My wife asked me in no uncertain terms to do something about my weight. And I thought, and I said, I have an idea. I'm going to take off in the middle of the day. I'm going to go to this Chinese restaurant. I'm going to eat steamed vegetables. I'm going to bring a book with me, and I'm going to read, which will occupy my time. And I started doing that. Every single day that I was working, I'd take off several hours. I'd go to this Chinese restaurant with a book, and it was wonderful. It was an escape. I had no real awareness. The fact that I was being able to do something which pleased my wife, which wasn't terrible for me, and I had my books. I was reading the kind of stuff that I like to read, and I was fine. And then Dr. Chu came into my life. And I'm going to tell you what he actually said. This may be the first time in public that I've said it. He introduced himself, and first I have to tell you, he was disheveled. He was in scrubs. And when he said to me, "My name is Dr. Chu," the thought in my head was, how do they find you? You can only escape for a certain period of time, and they find you. And when he reached over for the soy sauce and his identification came out, there it was, Joseph Chu D.O. He was a real doctor. And he said to me, "I have a job for you. Instead of sitting here, you're going to come and help me out at the hospital. No pay, but you'll enjoy it. It'll get you out of here, and you'll be productive." And that's how AccuWeight began, because of the fact that he wanted something. I was to be his assistant. And when we were done with his study, he said, "Dr. Schwartz, you're unhappy. I want you to go into the weight loss business because our study indicated that this methodology with the acupressure works. However, you cannot be a fat weight loss doctor." You've heard me say, he said to me, you cannot be an overweight weight doctor. Now, he then proscribed for me and laid out the fact that I would need to change. He excited me. I was living in an environment that I hadn't lived in. And in 3 months, I lost 84 pounds. It was easy. And the reason it was easy is because I accepted the fact that I would have to change. If I continued to live and behave in the way in which I had been living and behaving, I would stay unhappy. And that's where and how I oftentimes inject and let you understand that there are things that are important. For example, there are primary colors. And all of you know there are primary colors and there is white and black. Black is the absence of all color. White is the combination of all colors. And then there are the colors in between. Well, there are 5 different emotions, primary emotions: mad, glad, sad, scared, and hurt. Mad, glad, sad, scared, and hurt. And there's something very, very interesting about those primary colors. Of the 5 primary colors, mad, glad, sad, scared, hurt, only one of them is positive. Only one is positive. And now we have this other stuff. For example, depression. What is depression? Sad, okay. And as I explored with Dr. Chu, sad comes from the feeling of hurt that we've experienced, that we do not know how to express for whatever the reason is. And because we can't express our hurt, we use energy to stuff it down. Now, when you stuff down anything, it begins to build. And when it explodes, because it's been tamped down, we get anger. So anger is the manifestation of hurt that has not been addressed, that has been tamped down. And because emotions always seek expression, there's anger. Now let's go back to us. I was not happy with the fact that I was almost 300 pounds. But I was accepting of that because I was comfortable with the games that I was playing, that I was using for distraction. And because, and I'm not sure what word to use, but I had chosen not to address it directly. What you and I are doing right now is accepting the fact that between now and New Year's, there are going to be hurdles. If you are not willing to pay attention, not to ignore, to pay attention to the fact that there are going to be hurdles, what's the end result going to be? On the other hand, one of the reasons I created for you the magic protocol was to put you back in control. When you are in control, it feels good. When you are in control, you're happier with the you that you are. When you first get up in the morning, You're happier with the person that you get up with in the morning because you're proud of how they are treating and respecting you. And you see the fact that because you have taken hold of your behavior for a reason, not for no reason, and the more you do it, the better it feels. That's what we are all about. Now, a situation and a circumstance. I meet you and you meet me. You've been married before. I have not. But I like being with you and you like being with me. And each time we get together, even though your experience in life is different than mine, and my experience with life is different than yours, we like getting together. Now, one of us decides to ask the other person, I want to see more of you than I'm seeing. How about we move in together? Now, you've been married before, so you've lived with someone before. I've never lived with anyone. So I've never experienced sharing my environment with someone that I have just met. But the only way I'm going to be able to see more of you is to say, okay, let's move in together. And now we have a problem. You have your way of doing things. I have my way of doing things. You believe that your way of doing things is the proper way. I may be inexperienced, but I believe that the way I do things is the way it should be done. Now comes the very interesting kind of thing. I said in my mind, I'm really feeling good when I'm with you, so I'm willing to come into your environment and knowing that I don't know. You're willing to come into the same environment with me, knowing that I don't know, but you do know that because I don't know, I'm going to be different than you. So what is it we are agreeing to? To understand that we have to talk about, we have to share. And in the openness and the talking about, do you realize that if you look out there, everything is basically the same? Men are men, women are women. No matter where you go, men are men, women are women. Now, men tend to congregate with men, and women tend to congregate with women. Thoughts and ideas and experiences are different. But here is the key, and this is what's important. Look around you. Italians tend to hang out with Italians. Poles tend to hang out with Polish people. Russians hang out with Russians. And we have, when you look around you, there are neighborhoods which are Polish and they're Italian. And culture is exactly the same thing. People tend to congregate with what is like. Look at nature. Fish stay with fish. Whales stay with whales. Giraffes stay with giraffes. Elephants stay with elephants. The problem is that we develop opinions that if we do not understand and try to understand that if we are going to get along, you can't stay exclusively there and I can't stay exclusively here, because that gap is going to be visible. Holiday season is exactly the same thing. You have friends out there who, for whatever the reason, could eat anything all of the time, drink anything, do this or that, and they're free about it. And you recognize that if you behave like them, you're not going to be happy. Because in your opinion, and in their opinion, you're wrong, they're wrong. But remember, we just moved in together. I like being with you, and you like being with me. So what is it that we are accepting? That you and I have to behave in some kind of planned manner to share and to be willing to change and feel good about the change, because although we'll be giving up something, we're also going to be gaining something. And it's in that process of gaining that the differences are made. Now, one of the things, let me just see here. I was looking for, but I don't see any. Check this. Check this. In order for us to make progress, we have to be willing to recognize that our behavior is not the only legitimate behavior. We have to accept the fact that you think that your way of doing it works because that's what you're most comfortable with. Now, you remember when we started out, you've been married 3 times. I have never been married. Now, why am I never been married? Must be something. Why have you been married 3 times? Must be something. You have the experience to teach me. I have the experience to teach you. And only by sharing experiences are we going to learn. Now, I want to tell you a very quick story. My granddaughter was about 8 months old. I'm visiting my daughter and my granddaughter, and my daughter says to me, Pop, I've got to go out, take care of her, and she's going to wake up. She's going to be hungry. She explained to me how to heat the bottle. She left, and about 5 minutes after my daughter had left, my granddaughter woke up. I did what I did with the bottle. I warmed it. I put the bottle in her mouth, and she refused to drink from the bottle. And she was crying, and she was inconsolable. Now, don't ask me what was in her head, and don't ask me why she didn't take the bottle. She definitely was hungry. There's no question about it. But whatever the image she had in her head, it was not of the bottle. She was inconsolable, and I was going nuts. Don't ask me why. There were some chocolate chip cookies on the counter in a plastic container. I took out a chocolate chip cookie. I took off a tiny little piece, and I put it in my granddaughter's mouth. For about 30 seconds, she stopped crying. And so I took another piece of chocolate chip cookie and I put it in her mouth. And for another 30 seconds, and I'm making up times, she stopped crying. And there was a sigh of relief because I was feeling powerless and she was inconsolable. Here I'm the grandpa, I'm supposed to be doing this. I know from nothing. All I know is I'm not succeeding. Now, my granddaughter comes home and she says, how things going? My daughter comes home and she says, how things going, Pop? And I explained to her about the chocolate chip cookies. And she looks at me and said, I can't trust you to do anything. Do you realize now for the rest of my life, I'm going to have to get around the fact that in her head all the time is going to be chocolate chip cookies, and you gave her 3 cookies and you caused all of these problems. Now, all of us have these pictures in our heads. Some of them are more well-formed than others. The picture in our mind is what we want. What is in the real world doesn't always reflect the bottle and sucking on it, chocolate chip cookies, 2 very different things. When I gave her the chocolate chip cookies, remember, she wanted. We all want food for survival. But whatever the fuzzy image she had in her baby's head, was not a bottle with a nipple on it. It became chocolate chip cookies. If we do not accept the fact that change is the only inevitable issue, nothing is ever the same. No matter how many times you repeat it, it will be slightly different. One of the things I've shared with you in the past is of the woman who gets up in the morning, does what she has to, goes out of the house, turns down the street, and trips. Slight bruise of her knee, brushes herself off, and goes on the way. When she left the house, she had a destination. She chose to go down this street. And she kept going down this street again and again and again, each time tripping, brushing herself off, it getting worse and worse, when one day, for whatever the reason she had, the destination was the same, but she chose to walk down a different street. If we do not recognize that repeating our behaviors again and again are going to end us up with the same circumstances that never really permit you to safely get to your destination. This is up to you. You're calling me at 973-243-0777 gets you me. You're emailing me at accusmoke@aol.com also gets me. I'm here to help you. I can't help you unless you ask me. I can't read your mind. What you know and I know is weight loss works. You wouldn't be sitting here. I want to help you be more efficient and more effective in doing what you have to do for you, so that you respect you, you understand you, you're happier being with the you that you are, instead of complaining about the you that you are, because complaints do not work. A complaint is meaningless. It gives you nothing. It teaches you nothing other than the fact that you're not happy. Respect yourself enough. Care about yourself enough. Get up in the morning with a self that you're gaining more respect for every single day. Share. And remember, plan for this Thanksgiving to New Year's period of time. There are going to be hurdles. Ask. I'll be there. Thanks for listening. Take care.